At 9:45 on a Tuesday morning, Derek Patterson brandished his big gulp drink, directing a derogatory racial slur at Wendy Anderson, a black woman who had just entered the premises. "Look at this black thinking she belongs here. You lost, honey? The maid's entrance is in the back," he sneered, before deliberately drenching her with the entire cola. The drink saturated her hair, face, and expensive coat, splashing across the pristine floor. The other receptionists, Ashley Morgan and Brittany Collins, erupted in laughter, echoing Derek's sentiment. "Derek, best prank ever. Thought you were here to mop our toilets." Wendy Anderson stood there, soaked and visibly trembling, yet striving to maintain her composure. Her silk blouse, now sticky with cola, clung uncomfortably, and her $2,000 coat was ruined. More painful than the physical discomfort was the dismissive laughter and the palpable condescension with which these junior employees regarded her, treating her distress as mere entertainment. "I need to speak with management," she stated, her voice remarkably steady and professional despite the assault. Derek, still wiping tears of mirth, retorted, "Lady, you don't even belong in this building." This immediate dismissal and lack of basic respect underscored a deeply troubling corporate culture where such overt hostility could manifest openly. The incident exemplified how microaggressions can rapidly escalate into blatant discrimination when unchecked within an organizational environment. Wendy, determined to address the injustice, informed them, "I'd like to file a complaint. What just happened was assault." Ashley, the blonde receptionist, leaned forward with a patronizing smile. "A complaint? Do you even have an appointment here?" Wendy confirmed she was there to meet someone, to which Ashley retorted, "We don't usually get walk-ins from your part of town. This is a private building." Derek, meanwhile, embellished the story to Brittany, claiming Wendy literally walked in here like she was somebody important. "I had to put her in her place." Brittany's giggle and dismissive comment about Wendy's coat likely being a Canal Street special further highlighted the insidious nature of their implicit biases, immediately associating her appearance with presumed social and economic status. With a deliberate, controlled movement, Wendy placed her bag on the counter, knowing that any display of anger would be weaponized against her, reinforcing their preconceived notions. Unnoticed by the receptionists, a keychain engraved with JR Enterprises Executive Access gleamed momentarily, a subtle detail that held significant irony against the unfolding drama. Ashley, adopting a disingenuously sweet tone, suggested Wendy, "Go home, change clothes, come back when you have actual business." As two more employees, Brad Mitchell and Jennifer Thompson, entered the lobby, they observed Wendy's drenched state and the smirking receptionists. Brad, catching Derek's eye, smirked back as Derek mouthed, "Crazy lady," and continued walking. Jennifer hesitated, her gaze lingering on the cola stain and Wendy's trembling form. A flicker of discomfort crossed her face, but she ultimately looked away, heading for the elevator. This moment, a stark illustration of the bystander effect, demonstrated how social conformity and the perceived cost of intervention can deter individuals from acting on their moral compass, allowing discrimination to persist. The lobby was filling with employees, and Derek, emboldened by his growing audience, loudly declared, "You guys won't believe what just happened. This woman came in here acting like she owned the place." With over 10 pairs of eyes fixed upon her, Wendy felt the weight of public humiliation, her ruined coat and sticky hair making her appear exactly as Derek intended, out of place. She reiterated, louder this time, "I need to speak with Jonathan Reed." The brief silence that followed was shattered by Derek's uproarious laughter. "Jonathan Reed? You want to talk to Jonathan Reed?" Ashley joined in, feigning shock. "Oh my God, she's serious." Derek, wiping his eyes, informed her, "Mr. Reed is the CEO, the owner. He doesn't take meetings with random people who walk in off the street." Wendy firmly stated, "I'm not random. I need to speak with him." Their continued mockery, including derogatory air quotes around accident, and Brad's callous suggestion that she was calling her pimp, only intensified the hostile environment. Jennifer Thompson, though not laughing, showed visible discomfort and guilt, yet remained silent, underscoring the challenge of speaking out in a peer-dominated environment. Wendy, desperate, requested to use the restroom to clean up. Ashley, with an air of superiority, denied her access, citing employee and scheduled guests only policy, callously directing her to a McDonald's 2 blocks down. This denial of basic human decency, especially after an assault, pushed Wendy's professional mask to its breaking point. "You're denying me access to a bathroom? I was just assaulted in your lobby. I'm covered in soda and you won't let me wash my hands." Ashley's voice sharpened. "Ma'am, you're starting to sound aggressive." Brad, now recording on his phone, called out to others, "You guys seeing this?" Wendy realized everyone had their phones out, ready to capture her meltdown for social media, framing her as the angry black woman. The deliberate provocation, a common tactic in such encounters, aimed to elicit an emotional reaction that could then be used to justify their discriminatory actions. Connor Hayes, a senior supervisor, arrived, his authoritative presence causing employees to straighten up. Derek immediately painted Wendy as a harassing, unstable individual making demands and getting hostile. Connor, observing Wendy's drenched appearance, readily accepted the receptionist's narrative, instructing her to leave the premises. Wendy protested, explaining the assault, but Connor dismissed her claims as an overreaction to an accident and accused her of being increasingly aggressive and making staff members uncomfortable simply for raising her voice. This immediate siding with his subordinates and dismissal of Wendy's account highlighted a severe lapse in leadership and an organizational culture where accusations against a black woman were more readily believed than her own testimony. Derek, seizing the opportunity, falsely accused Wendy of recording them. Ashley and Brittany corroborated the lie, leading Connor to threaten security intervention if she refused a phone check. Cornered, Wendy played her last card. "I want to speak with Jonathan Reed. I'm married to the owner of this company. My name is Wendy Anderson." The lobby fell silent, then erupted in derisive laughter. Derek was hysterical, Ashley incredulous. Connor hardened his expression, viewing her claim as a false claim that undermined her position. Ashley, pulling up photos, cruelly dismissed Wendy's assertion, pointing out that Jonathan Reed's wife was a supermodel who definitely doesn't look like you, implicitly connecting race and appearance to worthiness of status. Brad suggested calling the police for fraud. The systematic gaslighting and escalation, despite Wendy's truthful declaration, demonstrated the profound power imbalance and the entrenched racial biases at play. 2 security guards, Tyler Brooks, a black man, and Diane Foster, a white woman, arrived. Connor provided a deliberately distorted brief, portraying Wendy as an unstable individual, assaulted a staff member, a reversal of truth, making false claims, and possibly attempting identity theft or corporate espionage. Tyler, upon seeing Wendy's expensive coat and discerning demeanor and reading her driver's license, showed a flicker of doubt and recognition. He suggested calling upstairs to verify, but Diane, dismissing him, claimed Mr. Reed was in transit, and his assistant had said no interruptions, a lie Connor had not even attempted. Tyler hesitated, caught between protocol and his instinct that something was profoundly wrong. This internal conflict is a common ethical dilemma in organizational settings, where adherence to authority can override individual moral judgment. Jennifer Thompson, who had lingered, finally took a hesitant step forward, suggesting, "Maybe we should double-check. She seems really certain." Ashley immediately shut her down. "Oh my God, Jennifer, don't be naive. Look at her. Does she look like someone Mr. Reed would marry?" The unspoken implication of racial prejudice was clear. Jennifer, facing peer backlash, retreated, illustrating how the social cost of solidarity can silence even those with good intentions. Studies on workplace discrimination consistently show that the inaction of bystanders often perpetuates harmful environments more than overt aggressors. Diane grabbed Wendy's arm, but Wendy sharply pulled away, declaring, "Don't touch me." Connor, almost satisfied, declared this resisting security, justifying trespassing charges. As Ashley dialed the police, Wendy, surrounded by hostile employees and security, found herself at a precipice. The thought of leaving, of avoiding further humiliation, was tempting, but it would signify defeat, an acceptance that she didn't belong. She chose to stay, a defiant stand against the injustice, embodying the principle that presence itself can be an act of resistance. Tyler, still troubled, quietly tried to appeal to Connor, suggesting verification. Connor, dismissing him with a subtle power play, "Use your head, Tyler," reinforced the unspoken rule, follow orders, don't complicate. Just then, Diane's radio crackled. "Security, this is front gate. Mr. Reed's vehicle just pulled into the executive lot." Time seemed to slow. Wendy's eyes, once defeated, now held a flicker of hope. Derek and Ashley exchanged unconcerned glances, confident in their delusion. Jonathan Reed, 38, white, CEO, and owner of JR Enterprises, walked through the glass doors, exuding the effortless confidence of a self-made tech magnate. His casual demeanor vanished as he surveyed the scene. A crowd of employees, security guards, and in the center, his wife, Wendy, drenched in soda and shaking. The confusion on his face morphed into a cold, dangerous fury. "What the hell is going on here?" he demanded, his voice instantly commanding the room. Connor, his authority instantly crumbling, stumbled over an obsequious explanation. Jonathan, however, was focused solely on Wendy, absorbing every detail of her distress. His voice dropped to a deadly calm whisper. "That's my wife." The lobby plunged into a profound silence, a collective gasp of disbelief and dawning horror. Derek's face drained of color. Ashley's hands froze, and Connor stood stunned, utterly unable to process the revelation. Jonathan crossed the lobby in swift strides, his hands gently but firmly on Wendy's shoulders. "Are you okay? What happened?" he asked. Wendy's composure, finally given permission to break, emerged in a shaky but clear voice. "I came to surprise you for our lunch meeting. I was assaulted, mocked, denied basic human respect. They were about to have me arrested." Jonathan's jaw clenched, a muscle jumping in his temple. He slowly turned to face the stunned crowd. "Someone," he said very quietly. "Explain now." Connor stammered about a misunderstanding, but Jonathan cut him off. "A misunderstanding? My wife is covered in soda. She's surrounded by security. Someone called the police on her in my building." He pulled out his phone, immediately canceling the police call, and then speed dialing HR, legal, and his entire executive team, demanding their presence in the main conference room in 5 minutes. Non-negotiable. He fixed his gaze on Derek. "Your name?" Derek, barely able to speak, identified himself. "Derek Patterson. You threw a drink on a woman in my lobby." Derek's panicked denial of it being an accident was met with Jonathan's chilling response. "Don't lie to me. I can pull security footage in 30 seconds. Ashley tried to intervene, desperate, claiming Wendy never identified herself. Jonathan rounded on her, his voice rising, not yelling but embodying a terrifying, controlled anger. "She shouldn't have to identify herself. She's a human being who walked into a building. That should be enough." He continued, his voice resonating with authority. "She came to meet me, her husband, for lunch, and instead of being treated with basic courtesy, she was humiliated, degraded, threatened with arrest by my own employees in my own building." He pointed at Brad, who attempted to vanish into the crowd. You made a joke about pimps. I heard you." Brad's face went white. Jonathan reiterated the omnipresence of security footage. "We record everything." Jennifer Thompson, quietly crying, realized the full weight of her inaction. Jonathan, seeing her, acknowledged her initial attempt. "You started to speak up. Yes, you should have done more, but you tried. That matters." This recognition, while direct, provided a crucial distinction between active malice and passive complicity. Jonathan then addressed the entire lobby. What you just participated in is exactly what discrimination looks like. Some of you laughed, some of you recorded, some of you stayed silent when you knew something was wrong. He looked at Tyler. You had doubts. Tyler nodded slowly. I thought we should verify first. Jonathan's response. Then why didn't you? I should have trusted my instincts. Yes, you should have. Was not a reprimand, but a profound lesson in accountability and the importance of ethical courage. He placed an arm around Wendy, who was still processing the whirlwind of emotions. Connor Hayes was summarily suspended, his badge and radio demanded, his attempts to claim protocol dismissed in the face of his documented lies. Derek and Ashley were ordered to the conference room now. Jonathan turned to Diane, reprimanding her for attempting to physically remove his wife and questioning her blind adherence to orders, a chilling echo of historical injustices. He retained Tyler for a full report, acknowledging his integrity. To the rest of the employees, he issued a final, unequivocal warning. Today was a teaching moment. Today you learned what happens when good people stay silent, when bias goes unchecked, when power gets abused. Some of you failed a basic human decency test this morning. We're going to talk about that. All of us company-wide, because if this can happen to my wife, it can happen to anyone, and I will not run a company where this is acceptable. The crowd dispersed slowly, the drama ending, but the ramifications just beginning. Jonathan and Wendy headed for the elevators, his arm still around her shoulders. She leaned into him, finally allowing herself a moment of vulnerability. I'm sorry, he whispered. It is my fault. I built this company. I built this culture. Clearly, I was wrong. This moment of self-reflection from the CEO was critical, acknowledging that individual acts of discrimination are often symptoms of systemic issues within an organizational culture. In the conference room, visible through glass walls, Derek and Ashley waited, their fate sealed. Tyler began writing his report. Jennifer stared blankly at her computer, and Brad worried about his job. A fundamental shift had occurred in the lobby. The comfortable lie of a progressive, inclusive workplace had shattered. Wendy Anderson's experience exposed the deep-seated biases that, unchecked, allowed a black woman to be treated as trash simply because of her appearance. The full weight of corporate scrutiny descended. Jonathan and Wendy were joined by Patricia Wilson, the HR director, a black woman whose stern expression spoke volumes, and Stephen Carter, legal counsel. On the large screen, the 4K security footage played. Every derogatory word, every cruel laugh, Derek's racial slur, the intentional cola dump, Ashley's denial of bathroom access, Connor's lies, Brad's offensive comment. Patricia's face hardened with each frame. Stephen shook his head. The silence after the video was deafening. This is textbook hostile work environment, Stephen finally stated, outlining potential assault charges, defamation, and civil rights violations. If she wanted to sue, she'd win. Wendy, however, articulated a higher purpose. I don't want to sue. I want this to never happen to anyone else. Patricia nodded, emphasizing the need for serious systemic changes, not just firing a couple of people. Jonathan's flat, fire them anyway, was met with Patricia's agreement, but she underscored the need for enduring change. Derek, brought in first, attempted a contrite smile, offering a shallow apology conditioned on his ignorance of Wendy's identity. Jonathan cut him off. You had no idea she was my wife, but you knew she was a person. You chose to humiliate her anyway. He dismantled Derek's joke defense, exposing the underlying racism of his words and actions. Derek was fired, effective immediately, escorted out. Ashley next, tearfully apologized to Mrs. Reed. Wendy, however, pressed the crucial question. Would it have mattered if I was just anyone else? Would you have treated me differently? Ashley's inability to answer revealed the core of the problem, a failure of empathy and an ingrained habit of making assumptions based on appearance. Wendy meticulously listed Ashley's transgressions: denial of bathroom access, calling the police on her, fabricating aggression, multiple lies. Patricia officially terminated Ashley, who left, sobbing harder. Jonathan, still not done, ordered Patricia to schedule an all-hands meeting, every single employee, in 30 minutes. Across 234 video connections, Jonathan's face, now reflecting profound disappointment rather than anger, appeared on screen. "Today, my wife experienced racism in our lobby," he stated, the silence absolute. "Let me be very clear about something. This isn't about her being my wife. This is about a black woman being treated as subhuman in a space where we claim to value inclusion and diversity." He played an edited 3-minute compilation of the worst moments from the security footage. Gasps rippled through the call as employees, some witnessing it for the first time, comprehended the full extent of the misconduct. He announced the terminations of Derek and Ashley and Connor's suspension. Public chat messages quickly affirmed, "Good," and "they deserved it." Jonathan, however, probed deeper. "How many of you were in that lobby this morning? 12 hands raised. How many of you said something, actually intervened?" One hand, Jennifer Thompson. One person out of 12. That's our real problem. He let the sobering statistics sink in, linking it not to political correctness or wokeness, but to basic human decency and the choice to help someone in distress. Patricia then detailed the comprehensive new initiatives: mandatory, intensive anti-bias training with accountability, with testing, with consequences. Stephen added plans for an anonymous reporting system, an independent review board, and third-party investigators, ensuring all reports of discrimination would be taken seriously. Jonathan reiterated his company's founding principles: innovation, integrity, inclusion. Today we failed on 2 out of 3. We showed no integrity. We showed no inclusion. That ends now. He directly addressed the silent witnesses. To everyone who watched and did nothing, here's what happens now. You get one chance. 1. You attend the training. You examine your own biases. You do better because next time, silence won't be an option. This bold stance signaled a profound shift from performative diversity to actionable accountability, a crucial step in fostering genuine cultural change. After the call, Wendy voiced a critical question: will this actually change anything? Patricia's honest assessment was that it depended on follow-through. Training alone never works. It's training plus consequences, plus culture shift, plus leadership commitment. Jonathan affirmed, whatever it takes. Stephen outlined the immediate steps: new policies, an independent review board charter, and a robust reporting system within 48 hours. 3 months later, the JR Enterprises lobby, while physically unchanged, emanated a distinct shift in atmosphere. A new installation on the main wall proclaimed innovation, integrity, inclusion, with the subtitle, "We don't just say it, we live it." The reception desk featured new faces, visible training materials, and a QR code linking to the anonymous reporting system, structural changes designed to embed the new values. Jennifer Thompson, now leading the D&I, Diversity and Inclusion Committee, a direct result of Jonathan's foresight in empowering the one who tried to speak up, conducted monthly audits, staff surveys, and town halls, cultivating an environment where concerns could be voiced without fear of retaliation. Tyler Brooks had been promoted to head of security, training new guards on bias awareness, emphasizing critical thinking and verification over blind obedience. We don't just follow orders. We protect everyone, not just the people we think belong here. Patricia Wilson's HR department had expanded with dedicated inclusion specialists, focusing on systemic change rather than mere box ticking. The anonymous tip line, used 47 times in 3 months, had identified 3 legitimate cases of discrimination, addressed early and effectively, a testament to the proactive approach. The individuals involved faced their own journeys. Derek Patterson, blacklisted from the industry, confronted the viral video of his misconduct. 6 weeks after his termination, he posted a genuine apology, acknowledging his wrongdoings and embarking on racial justice training and community workshops, driven by a burgeoning understanding of his biases. While redemption is not guaranteed or owed, his commitment to learning signaled a potential for personal growth. Ashley Morgan followed a similar path, fired and blacklisted. Her private LinkedIn message to Wendy, devoid of expectation, detailed her ongoing therapy and efforts to understand her ingrained assumptions and biases, listening to Black women and engaging in self-education. Wendy had not yet responded, her choice, as redemption is an arduous, unearned process. Wendy Anderson, herself transformed, had become a powerful advocate. Speaking at a women's leadership conference, she shared her story. "What happened to me wasn't unique. It was just filmed. It happens every day in lobbies, break rooms, elevators, meetings. The question isn't what would you do if you were me? The question is, what are you doing when you're the witness?" She and Jonathan established a scholarship fund, providing full rides for Black women in tech, already supporting 5 students. In a final scene, Wendy walked through the JR Enterprises lobby, her head held high. The new receptionist greeted her respectfully. "Good morning, Mrs. Reed." Wendy was not there to visit Jonathan. She was there for her own meeting, now serving on the company's board of directors in an advisory role focused on culture and inclusion. Her journey, from humiliation to empowerment, epitomized resilience. While her story found accountability and systemic change, thousands of others do not. Every day, individuals face discrimination, and witnesses choose silence. This narrative serves as a potent reminder. Which side of the story are you on? Will you be Derek, Ashley, or Connor, perpetuating injustice, or will you emulate Jennifer or Tyler, imperfect, perhaps hesitant, but ultimately willing to challenge the status quo? Cultural change is a collective decision, requiring conscious choice and unwavering commitment to dignity and justice.